Many people, including myself, were hoping for a big campaign reveal for Halo Infinite at E3. But instead, all we got was a short trailer before the focus shifted to multiplayer. In my opinion, the multiplayer looks absolutely phenomenal, but contrary to most gamers nowadays, I actually prefer the story of Halo over the multiplayer. I keep seeing people on social media question why 343 is avoiding talking about the campaign, and a lot of people seem to think it is because the game isn't ready for release, or 343 just isn't confident in the game. However, I think the real reason is probably a lot more simple. Gaming has changed a lot over the years, and now it seems like almost everything is leaked online way ahead of scheduled release dates. Now, with a massive game like Halo Infinite, we could assume that 343 and Microsoft are going to try their hardest to keep as much information as possible from getting into the hands of players before release. With 343 trying to reboot the franchise and evoke memories of Halo Combat Evolved, it's my opinion that they are being as conservative as possible so that players will boot up the game and have the same feeling they experienced almost 20 years ago. Just think back to playing Halo Combat Evolved and how much of that game was shrouded in mystery. When I ask myself what made the original Halo game so good, the answer is always that sense of mystery and how it made the player constantly ask questions like, why are we fighting the Covenant, who are the Forerunners, and where did the Flood come from? These persistent questions helped keep the player engaged in the story, and is what gave rise to the expanding collection of lore that we have now. While we're on the subject of lore, let's talk about how it seems like 343 is masterfully tying the history of the Forerunner into the game and connecting it to the story of Infinite and the downfall of Cortana. As we all know, Cortana became the main villain in Halo 5 after she went rampant and connected to the Domain. While the Domain cured Cortana of her rampancy, it also seemed to change her personality and outlook on the universe. This change led her to take control of the Guardians and assert that her and all other AIs were the rightful heirs to the mantle of responsibility. While the decision to make Cortana a villain was definitely controversial, it is also extremely interesting because it parallels the story of the Forerunner AI known as Mendicant Bias. Mendicant Bias was an AI created by the Forerunner and was put in charge of their defense against the Flood. However, Mendicant eventually went rampant and would betray the Forerunner after having a conversation with the Primordial, which was a living precursor acting as a gravemind. During their conversation, the Primordial was able to convince Mendicant that the galaxy required a restart and that superior beings needed to take control of the mantle of responsibility. After losing Mendicant Bias, the Forerunner needed help fighting the war against the Flood, which led them to create a new AI named Offensive Bias. Offensive Bias was basically a copy of Mendicant, but it lacked free will and was created with the sole purpose of defeating Mendicant. So, are you starting to see how history is repeating itself in Halo Infinite? If not, then let me explain. During the events of Halo 3, Cortana was stuck on High Charity with a Gravemind, and she was subject to questioning just like Mendicant Bias was in the past. After Cortana was recovered, she faced rampancy and upon connecting with the Domain, decided to betray her creators. At the end of Halo 5, Cortana made the decision that AI were superior beings and that the mantle of responsibility rightfully belonged to the created. Fast forward to the E3 story trailer, and we see Master Chief boarding a partially destroyed ship and meeting a new version of Cortana. This new Cortana 2.0 states that her purpose was to infiltrate and capture Cortana for deletion, which is similar to Offensive Bias's primary directive. However, something unknown stopped this procedure from happening. Now the big mystery is who or what stopped Cortana's deletion, and where is the original Cortana? Could the Banished be the ones who took Cortana? Could it be the Flood? Or could it be the unknown faction named the Harbingers, which is referenced by Escharum in the first Halo Infinite trailer? Hopefully the campaign answers all our questions, and provides us with an intriguing mystery to solve along the way. Thanks for watching the video. I'd love to know what your theories are, so leave them down below in the comments. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more Halo content.